How are you doing? How's your mood these days?
Thank you very much. We're doing good. It's a busy time. Obviously, we're
Mm.
pretty busy with the release of our upcoming album, which we're very much looking forward to, I have to say.
Yeah, I've already listened to the album. It's amazing. I really liked it, and I will
Thank you.
ask some questions, like personally that are interesting for me. And I would like to congratulate you with the release of this upcoming album. And
Thank you.
question is, so what's the concept? So how does the name and the cover of the album present the essence of it?
The album is actually based on an ancient text. We don't know for sure how old it is, but it's several thousands years old.
Mm.
Basically, expresses some kind of an ancient like pagan eschatology. You know, like the teaching of, like, how do you say, the apocalypse or the end to the world or something like that. But in our culture, to be fair, in actually most ancient pre-Christian cultures, it's very similar, that we are not so much talking about like what we know today as, like, apocalypse and all that, or like an end to the world. It's rather speaking about eternal and just recurring cycles in which everything, basically the whole cosmos, is getting renewed or recreated. So it's not that much of an end, but rather the thought of like death and rebirth or recreation or something like that. So yeah, that ancient text that basically displays some kind of an eschatology. Well, the original is actually called Lament, so it's kind of a song somehow. But if you read through it, it feels much more like a prophecy,
Mhm.
actually. I mean, it's talking about times to come and things like that. Obviously, it's about humans. It's a human text, written by humans for humans, of course. So of course it's about us, how we would develop over the centuries or thousands of years, and how we shall develop, like, toward or like within that cycle, and how we shall develop towards the end of the cycle, before like a new renewal will come. The crazy thing about it is that it's strongly focusing, especially towards the end of the aeon. It's strongly focusing our human relationship, and often ambivalent relationship with what we today call nature. Back in the day, we didn't divide between us humans and the rest, which we call nature. We didn't do that, dividing, but today we do. Yeah, that's what the text, this ancient text, strongly focuses, like our human development and our behavior, our relationship to nature. That's where the text gets quite wild, because there's a lot of things in it that we actually see happening now. I mean, it says that towards the end of the aeon, there shall globally there shall be the soil getting dried out, which we actually see happening today, and it's gradually getting a serious fucking problem. Or it's stated in these ancient words that globally the air shall be polluted, and it talks about dead zones in the oceans. It talks about the climate conditions getting completely out of hand. It talks about a gradually stronger occurrence of huge wildfires globally. It talks about increasing occurrence of big floods, and so on, and. So you name it. It's a lot of things we see happening, and if you read through that song, so to speak, and keep in mind that it's been written a few thousand years ago, you will get a few moments where you think like, what the fuck? Yeah, and so this ancient text is actually what the album is based on. And to come back to your question regarding Anu and the album artwork, in our mythology, Anu is the mother goddess, the mother to all gods and goddesses, which like in our understanding, gods or deities are something very earthbound, something that we need here on this planet as long as we are here in these manifest vessels of flesh and blood. Obviously, the mother to all deities basically represents the planet, Mother Earth, Mother Nature. That's what Anu is symbolizing, what the mother goddess is symbolizing. Coming to the artwork, we did open that thematical cycle all around that ancient text, and with Anu, with two standalone singles that we already released 2 years ago. On the artwork of those already, you saw that figure, with the antlers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's showing up again on the artwork of this one. Yeah, that figure actually represents Anu,
Mm-hmm.
the mother goddess, and she is standing in this moon-shaped opening where you see, like, far in the background, the moon in our mythology stands for a couple of things, like, especially in this album, in this context, it represents like a new aeon, an aeon to come. But generally, obviously it's kind of is linked to the night. It stands for night and darkness and the light in the darkness and all that, which has a very strong meaning for us. Like, it's darkness in Celtic understanding is not per se like linked to something negative. It's rather the opposite, actually, because we believe that it's basically the root of all life, because all life comes from darkness. Before you got to see the light of day, you were in the darkness of mother's womb, and before the grub spreads its wing as a beautiful butterfly, it needs to pupil itself in its cocoon and kind of die in it before it transforms, and so on. So yeah, darkness and night is something very beautiful to us, so to speak. It's the source of life, and that's what it also represents. And yeah, that would be it in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot of little details, or partly not even so little details, hidden in the album, in the artwork somewhere, that each and every single one has a meaning for something mythological. But in a nutshell, that's the core thing. So Anu is standing at the edge of a new aeon, with the all life renewed and reborn behind her. That's basically what it represents.
This is amazing. This is by far the best explanation I've ever heard. Thanks for such a precise answer, and it made
It's
me
probably the longest.
listen to the album and yes, enjoy it again. I have a couple more questions. And how does this album mark the evolution of the band's creative process? And have you achieved any new goals with this release?
No. No, because we didn't have any, actually. Not so much. Of course, I mean, we all existing beings are constantly evolving and developing, and so are we as individuals and as a band, in every aspect, of course. So yeah, to me, an album is always kind of a snapshot of where a band is right now, be it musically, be it lyrically, be it personally, be it whatever. And that's, well, same here. That's basically what it is. So musically, it's definitely kind of a, how do you say, a consequence of a development that's been going on for such a long time already, that we write, or we create music like together very much meanwhile, but that has not been the case all the time. Like for our first few albums, I literally wrote every single note for every little instrument and everything. And over the years, that started to change more and more, which is amazing, I think. And today, it's pretty much the opposite. So, and the same for Anu. It took us quite long. It was quite a long time when we have been working on this album, and it was literally with everybody involved. And on one hand, I think you can hear that, and on the other hand, I was just enjoying that because I think it's a beautiful thing. thing.
Some songs are sung by you, some songs are sung by Fabian. What is the criteria? I mean, so how is it decided who is going to lead the song, so to speak?
Well, first of all, I kind of have to say, I think that it's crazy important to us that we don't just write random songs and then add some random lyrics to them, but we really want our songs to also musically express what the lyrics are about. And so, like, even if a song lyrics is not completely finished or anything like that, we already know what the song will be about lyrically before we start actually composing it. That's for sure something. I mean, we more or less know, okay, that's going to be a song transporting that and that kind of like atmosphere or emotion or whatever, according to the lyrics. But apart from that, actually, we don't think too much. I would say like our creative processes are, when producing or creating an album, it's always like a very organic process, I would say. So quite often also chaotic, but very organic, and with like intuition being the main driving force, I would say. So every decision we do musically, it's always like a gut feeling, out of the belly decision without thinking too much. And in that sense, it's the same with, who sings when and in which part. And that's like, it just develops. As the song develops, that also becomes clear. And I also think songs are a little bit like kids in a way. The more they grow, the more they develop their own will, and hell, they are going to tell you what they need in certain parts or in certain moments, and it just becomes clear, what the song wants. And that's always just like very organic. It just develops and it just happens.
Thank you. So there is a song, Venez danser, and it's sung by Stefan Escher, if I remember correctly. This question and this information was given to me by my boyfriend. He's from France, from Bretagne, and he is actually a very big fan of Eluveitie. And he helped me with this question. So I actually don't know this singer, but I really like the song. And so I just want to know, I'm very, very curious. So how did you come up with this collaboration? And how did you come up in general with the idea of writing a song in French language?
Yeah, okay. So we haven't. But then I need to tell you, I almost had to say this like on every interview I did in the last 2 weeks, because there has been a little mistake in the press release.
Ah.
Yeah. Because we took quite a long time for this album, and also the recording process took quite a while because we didn't record in one go. So we had a few breaks of several weeks or months in between sometimes, and during this time, we also did a few other things apart from recording the album. We wanted our 2 standalone singles that we released 2 years ago. We wanted to remaster them because we planned to put them as bonus tracks for the limited edition of the album. So we wanted to remaster those, Idus and Exile of the Gods. And then we spontaneously also recorded a metal version of an old song of ours from an acoustic album that we just played live since years like this, and we just like a metal version, and we just wanted to record it. And then we also recorded that thing with Stefan Eicher. The thing is, it all just got mastered all together in one session, and so it was all delivered in one session. And even that French song ended up with Nuclear Blast. And the very first press release they sent everything out. But that was not the plan. That was a mistake that happens because, as I said, Exile of the Gods and Idus, they were standalone singles that we released 2 years ago already, and the metal version of the acoustic song is also an old one. So it doesn't have anything to do with the album. and that Venez danser song that really does not have anything to do with the album or Eluveitie or anything. So it shouldn't have been in the press release. The album has 12 tracks, and it ends with the prophecy. With the last track of the album is called the prophecy, and everything after that should not have been in the press release.
Okay.
So, but to answer your question, Stefan Eicher is a Swiss musician, is kind of a chansonnier, singer songwriter type of thing, and in my opinion, an incredible musician. I mean, I don't like his music mostly, but he is he's like really an artist through and through. Like he can touch anything and just make it to music. It's incredible, that guy. And he's also quite famous in Switzerland and also I think in France. And that song was from an album that was kind of like his breakthrough album or something like that.
Mhm.
And it had his 20th or 25th anniversary last year.
Mhm.
And so Stefan Eicher wanted to do something special with it. So he had the idea to re-record either the full album or just particular songs together with other Swiss musicians that he somehow finds interesting or so. And so he just wrote us an email during that time, and of course it was cool. Like it was also an honor to us that he contacted us. And so we said he just asked us if we would be up for doing something together with him to like how do you say reinterpret
Mhm.
old songs. And yeah, of course we said yes. It was cool. We liked the ideas, and so then we just reserved an extra day in the studio, and he just came by, and we were just jamming together all day long. And in the evening, we recorded what you heard
Mhm.
as album track, but it's not. So this is totally Stefan Eicher's thing, and I
Mhm.
even don't know yet like what's going to happen to that song. Like if he's going to release that full album, or if it just will be like a radio release with that song, or I have no idea. I don't know, but I'm curious.
Me too. No, for sure. Because, well, nevertheless, the song was amazing.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
but
also think it was
definitely didn't fit. Now, when you told me about that, it didn't fit into the album concept at all.
no.
But I liked it so much that I didn't have any like second thoughts about this.
Okay,
I do, for sure.
cool, cool.
Can you tell me with whom would you like to collaborate? I mean, with whom you think Eluveitie would sound cool as a collaboration?
Uh, you ask questions. I have no idea. Well, there's a couple of traditional folk musicians that I think would be pretty cool.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. What I think is, what's his name again? Joey something. The singer of Slipknot and Stone Sour. What's his name again?
Corey Taylor.
Oh yeah, Corey Taylor. Yeah, right. Uh, yeah, he is an amazing singer. In
Hmm.
my that I could well imagine. That I think I would like just doing something vocally with him. That would be cool. I think.
Yeah.
I really admire his
Sure.
technique and something, and yeah, it's quite impressive. Like technically, how he works and all that. He's a really great musician.
Yes, indeed. And if we speak about instruments, so are there any folk instruments, medieval folk instruments that you would be interested in implementing in further Eluveitis work? So you don't have any plans about that?
Mm, well, honestly, there's not that many left that we did not implement somewhere somehow anyway. So,
Mhm.
but there still are a few. Like I think we never properly had lures in our songs, and that, for instance, I could really imagine nicely, especially live. Like if you imagine like have like 10 fucking lures and another 10 carnixes being blown on stage, that must be super impressive.
Especially live, yes, live on stage. Can you tell me, so why do you think Celtic mythology nowadays is less popular, or I would even use the word mainstream, than the Scandinavian one?
It's funny. I just a few days ago, I kind of said my opinion on this very question to some Viking themed organizations that we were
Mhm.
talking about, and maybe we'll collaborate. That's why this question came up. Well, I think we're just dealing with two very, very different things here. I
Mhm.
mean, the one thing, I let's call it like the Viking culture, so to speak, is Central and Northern European culture
Mhm.
that is not too old. It's arose like somewhere in the early Middle Ages. We know a lot about it because there have been a lot of archaeological evidences and everything, and there has been a lot being written down. There's been quite a few places on this earth where the culture even was bequeathed orally and is still kind of alive, and so on and so on. So there's a lot to know, a lot to see about this culture. And on the other hand, you'll have like a more or less Mediterranean culture that's roughly 2000 years older, almost 2000 years older, where obviously we did not have that much archaeological evidence. I mean, we do have a lot of archaeological evidence, but compared to the Viking culture, it's much less. Um, yeah, because there's simply 2000 years in between.
Mhm.
And the other thing that comes on top is that there's not much written down about this culture. I mean, most of the ancient literary testimonies that we do have on the Celtic culture are from second and third hands, like from mostly from Greek and also from Roman historians and stuff like that. But the Celtic Druids themselves did not write too much down about their culture or lore or mythology. These are the main reasons I think
Mhm.
that like it's I mean it's hard to compare, but about the one thing, it's still quite fresh. It's not that old, and you have a lot of material, and the other one just don't.
Mhm. Yes, yes, exactly. So not so many evidences left, but at least a lot of, I mean, a huge room for inspiration, I think. Yes, and imagination. And what are the major sources? I mean, what or who has been the major source of inspiration for you lately?
I have no idea. There is so many things. I mean, obviously, history itself, yeah, a lot is history itself. I would say um, huge inspiration, or probably the biggest inspiration, is probably some sceneries on this wonderful planet that we live for now, like the Alps and all you can see and discover there is surely always a huge inspiration. And obviously, then the lore, the Celtic
Mhm.
cult mythology itself also is a huge inspiration. But there's so many things like and also musically, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's so many bands that surely did influence me in one or another way. The same for everybody else in the band. I think you could easily write a book about all, even if you just would list it.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm a little distracted by the cat,
Yeah,
but
I was distracted as well for a moment until I realized it's a cat.
it's a cat. Yes, it's my Steffi.
No,
Yes.
oh, okay.
My little helper. Actually, yes, we have some time left, and the very last question will be, are you going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day tomorrow?
No, and I wouldn't even have remembered that it's St. Patty's Day tomorrow. But
Uh,
no, I'm not going to celebrate it.
and you don't really celebrate it, yes?
No, no, no.
Yeah, because actually, if we speak about Celtic culture and it trying to go like two people in plain words. As far as I understand, St. Patrick's Day is one of the uh, holidays that linked in the minds of people with Celtic culture.
It's a very Irish thing, yeah.
Well, yes, yes, for sure. There are still differences. Okay, so we still have some more time, and the very, very last question would be: so, can you please share some plans for the future then?
Not really, because there are not that many, because we don't know the future generally. What we are busy planning at the moment is just touring with our new songs, like a lot. We just came back home from the first European leg of the tour. Now, in a few weeks, I think we'll go a bit more east, somewhere in Asia, to go on touring. We'll be back in summer for some open airs and summer festivals. And in fall, we'll have a second leg of the European tour. And then the year shall be pretty much over. And then next year, we'll have some more touring.
Yeah, so here are the
And we'll,
plans. Thank you.
I'm not even sure, but I think we also might be in Finland
Ah,
surely with a tour in fall. I'm pretty sure about it. Yeah, we have to. I mean, there's Amorphis on this tour as well, so we have to be in Finland, I
yeah.
guess.
Good luck with all the future plans, and
Thank you.
yes, thank you so much for this wonderful chat.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and
Yeah.
of course, thanks to everybody to listening, watching, or reading it for the
Mhm.
Inner Band. Thank you so much.